right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the AutoDealerTarget RoundTable. Before we get started, I want to apologize for the technical difficulties we had last week. I didn't realize any technical difficulties were going on. John was kind enough not to tell me. Actually, I think he sent me a few texts, but I never check my phone when the roundtable's going on. So anyway, we've tried to work through all the bugs, so hopefully this week will go like the first 2 weeks did without any issues. But without further ado, let's get this thing started. Our guest this week is Mike Marini. He is dead center. He is with CarsOutTheDoor. He is the your title would be CEO, is that right, Mike?
Yeah, founder and CEO, chief bottle washer, and everything else in between.
Nice. So, what? And I guess I should introduce the people in the room for any new viewers that are out there. Over on the far left, we've got Jay Chang. He is with Rapid Fire Auto. We've got to the right would be John Miller. He's our technical guy that swears everything's going to go perfect this week. Like I said, Mike Marini is dead center. And then we've got Mike Myers. Welcome, Mike Myers, back from DealerElite.net. It's great to have him back in here. Maybe he can ring Chris in here with us, too. But and then myself, I'm Tom Kain. I am your host. And I'm going to start off with a question for Mike Marini.
Absolutely, Tom.
What does CarsOutTheDoor do? How does it work?
Okay, well, CarsOutTheDoor, it's a company we just launched 10 weeks ago. And if you had to put us in a category, I'd say you put us in the category of a car buying service, a True Car or maybe a CarWoo. Our goal was to create a concept to make it easier for people to buy cars using the internet. And I looked at the marketplace, and I looked at what I consider were some of the challenges with car buying online, and I was looking at ways to make it more efficient, to help the buyer to have a better buying experience. Because my feeling was, if you can make an easier, faster car buying experience, you can get more people interested in buying cars, and you can shorten the buying cycle. And then I looked at it from the dealer side as well, and I saw what I thought were a lot of inefficiencies in the sales processes, a lot of things happening offline. And I studied the problem, and for about 2 years. I know that might sound cliche, but I went through a lot of trial and error with the concept. And ultimately what we came up with is something that people are describing as sort of the lending tree of car buying. And it's not something I was going for, but we'll take it. It's kind of a good analogy. But the way it works is a car buyer will come to CarsOutTheDoor and spec the car that they're interested in buying. They're going to actually build that car from the manufacturer's catalog, much like they would on the OEM website or even a dealer website. And that's the fun part about car buying, and is putting different configurations and the options right down to the floor mats and saying this is what I want to buy. And then any car dealer can become a member of our dealer network just simply by signing up right on our website. And the car dealer can provide a price quote to that buyer right through our website. And the buyer will take in all of their quotes, and at the end of a 48-hour period, make a buying decision. And the car literally will be purchased online. And then when that happens, the buyer clicks a button and literally says, "Buy it now." And then we put the buyer in touch with the dealership. And then the only thing that remains at that point is to actually get the paperwork done and get the vehicle delivered. So
where did the quotes come from? I mean, what's the benefit of obviously the benefit is to get a lead for the dealer.
Correct.
What other benefits are there for the dealer to join the CarsOutTheDoor network?
Well, we looked at the buying process. I said, well, we want to do something that we feel will have mass consumer appeal, because as everyone has pretty much acknowledged, the traditional internet lead is kind of out of favor with the public. People aren't so much interested in submitting a lead to a website anymore, but what they are interested in is remaining anonymous and getting those price quotes through the internet. And so I said, okay, the process right now is moving very slow. Car buyers are complaining they're not getting fast enough response from dealers, and they're not getting the information in such a way they're actually empowered to make a buying decision. So the benefit to a car dealer in joining our dealer network is this. if you have all of these car buyers in your marketplace, in your geographic area that are shopping, that are on the internet looking at cars, and they're wanting to buy this car online, we have a concept that we feel can cater to the majority of those car buyers and really kind of round them all up in one place. And because we feel our concept is that powerful and that attractive to car buyers. And then the efficiencies for the car dealers is, hey, you don't have to really look for these buyers. You can log into CarsOutTheDoor. You can just simply pull up the buyers. We actually just sort them all by zip code, and you can go right to what they're looking to buy. And the only question is, do you have it in stock or not? And you still provide a quote for the buyer either way. Because if you have it in stock, you're going to put the price in, you're going to check in stock, and if you don't, you're just simply going to select from the drop-down menu how long it'll take you to get the car, whether it's a week or 2 weeks. And the buyer will take that information and they'll make a buying decision based on what's best for them at that point.
So what information does the buyer get?
Okay. Well, what the buyer gets from what they first, of course, obviously they spec the car that they want to buy, and there's a couple other moving parts here that we integrated because our goal was to move the entire buying process online. Because to bring real efficiencies to dealerships, we wanted to move buyers past this point of negotiating over price. So we want to so the buyer will actually put in the car they want to buy, of course, which I've probably said that too many times already. If they have a trade-in, they're also going to put the trade-in specs in there because that comprises roughly 60% of car buyers. So if the goal here is to move the car buying process online, you've got to get everything moved online. So we're the first website that's especially a quote-unquote car buying website that's actually pioneering the online trade-in concept. So the buyer puts in what they want to buy, they put in what they have to trade in, and then the dealer is going to get both sets of information, the complete configuration, again, because this is the fun part about it, is the car buyer is picking it from, basically building it from the catalog. And you just run your math, and you put in your price quote, and it goes back out to the buyer. But the last part of this process is to make it truly an online buying experience, you have to put everything in the price, meaning the taxes, the title, and the tag, and if there's any dealer fees and whatnot, so the buyer can know the true amount of money that they're actually going to be spending to buy this vehicle. Now you've got everything rolled up in one package. They're completely empowered to make an online buying decision and literally do business with your dealership. And the best part about it is the entire process wraps up in just 48 hours. So it takes everything that's going on for car dealers kind of in the offline world, and it moves it all online, and moves it very efficiently according to a time clock. And it gets the buyers past the point of negotiating because now they have apples-to-apples price quotes. They have the trade-in is included if they have a trade-in. And now they can get into that car quickly. And we feel that the easier you make it for people to buy cars, the more interested they'll get in dealing with your concept. And so that's what we were going for. And so the dealers, I think, I feel we're going to deliver the buyers. We've only been in business 10 weeks, so we're not actually promoting the service yet. We're just building the dealer network. Once we have enough dealers on the platform, then we can begin to go in and do targeted advertising, Google, pay-per-click ads, and so forth, and actually driving people that are shopping for cars, driving into the site and helping dealers get their cars sold.
So I guess one of the big questions would be about the trades when a buyer has a trade. How does that work? Maybe you could walk us through that process, because that would be a big concern of mine, sitting in the dealer's chair.
Well, we're tied in with NADA guides. So when our buyer builds their trade-in in our system, they're actually putting the specs right into NADA guides. And so the information we're outputting for the dealer is going to give the dealer the VIN, the mileage, the configuration, as well as all the appraisal values. And we have which is a one-question survey about the buyer that kind of pegs the vehicle condition. So what you have here, you have all of the dealers basically getting a set of facts regarding that trade-in, which then they can take and then run that through their auto check or their Carfax or whatever different services they're using, and come to a number in their minds that they're comfortable with offering for that vehicle. Now, one of the things that we noticed about other car websites, car buying websites, that I thought were not working for car buyers and not really working for car dealers either, and this is a big part of our process here. Most of the other car buying services are either wanting to dictate to the car dealer how much they're allowed to sell the car for, or they're playing the reverse auction game. And the reverse auction game certainly isn't going to work with online trade-in. So the message to our dealers is everyone's dealing with the same set of information, and when the when the buyer gets the quotes back from the dealers, okay, the dealers don't actually see the other dealers' price quotes. So what this boils down to is this. It's a one-to-one relationship between buyer and dealer, and taking it even one step farther, because we didn't want to leave anything out, we actually keep the dealer anonymous. So the buyer gets these quotes. They don't know which dealer the quote came from, because we certainly don't want them taking this and then going out and playing dealers against each other. We're trying to get them out of that game, and they're ready to get out of that game. But we keep the dealer anonymous to protect their interest. And then not showing the other dealers' price quotes, the message is this. Look, put in a price that you need to make a profit and run your business, okay? We're not going to say that you have to outbid this other dealer for this business, especially when you're talking online trading. That's just never going to work. So it's a one-to-one relationship. Put in a price that you need to run your business, where you're not going to get burned by the trade, but ultimately in the end there's an out. If the buyer comes in and they said the car had 45,000 miles and it really has 75,000 miles, obviously they were not truthful about the process, and so the dealer is certainly not on the hook for the marketing fee if they decide to cancel.
So what questions are asked of the buyer? Obviously, there's a question of, has the vehicle ever been in a wreck? Things like that. How much damage?
It's 6 pieces of information we collect for the trade, and this is all put right into NADA guides: year, make, model, mileage, VIN number. And then there's a survey basically that we borrowed. Actually, we searched a couple different websites that were doing online trade, and it's basically copied the survey questions they use that kind of peg the vehicle's condition. Basically, good, rough, good, average, or excellent. And most vehicles are going to fall into the average condition. And using our system, I think most dealers obviously aren't going to quote excellent on a trade-in. They're going to quote a number they're going to be comfortable with, because the goal here is to make money. See, we're not trying to squeeze the dealers out of their profit. Actually, we're trying to take things the other direction. But the online trading is key, because if we're ever going to get cars actually sold online, that issue has to be addressed. You've got to be able to give a price quote over, or give an online offer over the internet. But we just took that and rolled it all up into one. So this information comes in, as I said, it's and the appraisal guides, the appraisal values for this vehicle from NADA guides are actually come up right in the output that the dealer is looking at. And then again, they can take that VIN number, put it into their auto check, Carfax, look for anything, maybe this vehicle was salvaged or whatnot, some things that might tip the dealer off. But at the end of the day, the message is, look, don't put a number in here that is going to cause you to lose money. Because, see, the buyer, we feel, yes, the buyer wants a fair value for the trade, but what they don't want to have to do is go through what they're going through now, one negotiation on the vehicle, then an entire negotiation for the trade-in. We feel if by getting the process all rolled up into one, you get it down to one number, and you make it easy for the buyer to say yes to doing business with you. And again, because we're keeping the dealer's price quotes hidden from the other dealers. We're not forcing dealers to basically play this game of bidding against each other on the internet. And ultimately, I know some dealers like the comfort that comes with that, because you know what your competition is doing. But here's what happens with that, okay? Usually at the end of that process, then the negotiation with the buyers begin. The buyers say, well, geez, I got it to this point. Let me see where I can get it to next. And so that's the reason the online kind of reverse auction thing really doesn't yield the results. Going back to the mid-'90s when certain websites started working with dealers and providing leads and publishing each dealer's different prices in the different marketplace, the end result of that has always been, a stalled sales process that then goes to negotiation with the buyer. And without process of a buyer getting, a handful of competing price offers that are, first of all, they're standardized because everything is included, taxes and so forth. They don't have to worry about, there's 9 or 10 different things that go into buying the car, from the invoice price to the MSRP to the trade-in value and the used car value and what one website said I should be getting. The buyer's got so much information to deal with. But if you get it down to one number, they'll make a buying decision quicker. And under this process, they're going to feel, yes, this was competitive, it was fair, and it's quick. And they can get into the dealership, sign the papers, and get out in that new car in just 48 hours. In our opinion, that's going to have mass consumer appeal. And a lot of the research we did when we were building the product, that's what people kept saying to us over and over. Make it quick, make it easy, make it fair. and they would do the process and get out of the negotiating game.
So, well, first I'll open it up to the other guys that are in here. Do you guys have questions for Mike before I hit him with another one?
I have a question.
Sure.
So my question is then, if a person has a trade-in, is that
I do.
winning
Can you
dealer
hear me?
per se? Do they get both of the cars sell and trade-in, or you have separate dealers bidding for a trade separately?
No, everything is rolled up. Everything is rolled up into one. So if the buyer has a trade and they've listed that trade in, every dealer is getting the same set of facts, and they're quoting back, one price to that buyer that includes taking their car in on trade and selling them the car that they're wanting to buy.
Are you itemizing that number with everything, including the tax, separately, so people actually see?
No, we're not itemizing it. The buyer's just getting one number, out the door price, quote unquote. That's why we call it cars out the door, because they're, our philosophy was if you can get it down to one number quickly, and the buyer, because now it becomes real to the buyer, Jay. Now you're talking about this is the amount of money leaving my pocket going, towards this vehicle purchase. It makes it a lot easier for them to get past all these extraneous issues, especially when you itemize things and you start having to move money from one place to the next. When the number is real, the buyer says, okay, this is how much money I'm actually spending. It just makes it so easy for them to buy the car. They don't have to worry about, well, geez, this includes my tax, it includes everything, and I can now see what they can do is they can now start to see themselves owning that car. Because now the number's real to them. They say, well, geez, I can afford that. I know I can get a loan. I can get a payment for that. That works in my budget. And you've removed so many moving parts from the sales process. And this ties into some other things that I've been, conceptually visualizing for the auto industry because, I wanted to start the conversation of, what year does this thing happen where we finally start getting cars sold online? Every car dealer has a website, makes the investment in their website, makes the investment in their inventory, even puts prices on there. But what's missing is a few key components to make this thing work online where the buyer can, hey, so I'm not only shopping your website, but now I see, boom, I can click a button. I can become the owner of this car right now. And then, what goes on from there? Well, maybe a test drive involved. So now they go to the dealership thinking, hey, I'm going to go test drive this car. I know this is the price I can afford it. And they can actually be basically selling themselves that car before they even get to your dealership. Because, this is the fun part about car buying. Just that people love to shop for the car, but the buying process has been so challenging. And so, Cars Out the Door was kind of a process of starting a discussion about let's move the process online or, at least make it available online. And then, these are principles that dealers can even be applying to their own websites because at the end of the day, our feeling was we want to bring new efficiencies to the car dealerships. Whether a car buyer buys the car through our service or we are enabling the dealers to get these cars sold quicker and easier, the dealers are winning, the buyers are winning, and when everybody wins, everybody wins.
Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Now, my day job is internet director for a pretty large store.
Right.
So, I signed up for you right away. So,
Yeah.
one of the things that I've always known is that when people buy, it's been a pretty well-known fact that price isn't always the number one deciding factor. So, is there anything that you have that's on the site that a dealer can provide any other, value-added thing that they do? So, for example, like at my dealership, our service department's open 24 hours a day.
Right.
We have to be. We have so much. We're busy that it's cool because you can actually go at 3 o'clock in the morning and get an oil change, and we have a lot of industry in our area, and a lot of people actually book appointments at that time. So if they find out, well, one guy's $200 higher than the other, but hey, you know what? I get this, and this
Right.
with that price. Is there any way that the consumer can or the dealer can actually give that information to the consumer, or is it just price based?
That's a great question because, and I'm going to let you answer it, Mike. I just want to interject that you'd like to know who you're going to be buying from.
Right,
So
right.
obviously, that's gonna play a role.
Like, I get the anonymity of the whole thing, and I think that makes sense. I like that. But I was just wondering if there was a way that, like I said, for me as a dealer, for me to capture more business, if I'm able to say, great, here's my price, but you don't know who I am, but if you come here, you're going to get this, this, and this too. With that price, that might swing someone to say, you know what, for another $200, this guy makes more sense. Then you find out, wow, he's an hour away, but you know what, I'm willing to go an hour. I don't know if that's available on your site.
Well, there's certainly things that we can do. This is a work in progress. I mean, it's functioning now, but it can be a work in progress. One of the things that just came to mind was with the things you're talking about, removing the anonymity. Would that be more attractive to dealers or less attractive? My feeling from a buyer's perspective is you'd end up in the same boat you were in before, where the buyer is going to take the bottom number that they get, and they're going to go out and start negotiating, because now they've got leverage. And not that we're not, obviously buyers want to get out of that. So what we have to do then is just build processes into our system where we can, one of the things we try to do to not make it just about price is we put the delivery situation in there as well. For example, instead of the buyer being tied to what's available in the local inventory and the dealer being kind of stuck with what they have in their inventory and losing possible sales, we said, okay, if the buyer is building the car from the catalog, then let's give every dealer a chance to compete for the business. That's why we make it where you don't have to have it in stock. So the idea is this: every buyer in your geographic area should be doing business in your geographic area. They shouldn't be saying, well, geez, the only dealer that has what I want is 3 hours away, because this is going on a lot now, especially if you got a car that wasn't a lot.
I gotta take off. I'll catch you guys in a little bit.
So we say, okay, let's give the buyer two pieces of information. We'll give them the price and the delivery status, whether it's in stock, or if the dealer has to order it. And then if they have to order it, the buyer might say, well, geez, I've got this one's got it in stock, but it's this price. This one's got a little wait, but it's this price. And that's one thing to try to make it work a little more smoothly. But other things, adding other things to the offers is certainly some things that we can work into the process if we get feedback and people say that they want to be able to do that.
So what do the people get? They just get a price quote? Do they get any type of idea of how far away the vehicle is? Is the vehicle going to be? Is the dealer required to only spec out a vehicle with the exact equipment that the customer?
Well, the dealer is actually responding to the buyer's request, saying, okay, let's say it's a Ford, for example, and it's a Ford dealer. Now, every Ford dealer can get every Ford car, obviously. So the dealer is going to say, okay, this is exactly what you want. And obviously we see you want the sunroof, and you want the floor mats, and you want X, Y, and Z. And this is the cool part about it. The buyer goes through the configurator, and they get to say exactly what they want, instead of going to the dealership and saying, well, we didn't have that exact thing, but we've got this, and can we make it work? So the buyer gets excited. They bill exactly what they want, and the dealer says, okay, here's the price, and whether I have it or not. So now the way it works from the dealer's perspective is this. Okay, the buyers are all identified by zip code. So, for example, Pennsylvania. Okay, a dealer will go and say, show me all the buyers in Pennsylvania that are looking for 2012 Fords. And they will come up on our website, and they'll be categorized by zip code. So the dealer can begin with the zip codes in their own area and say, okay, I've got all the Ford buyers, and obviously I'm a Ford dealer, so I'm going to quote every one of these buyers, the price for what they're looking for, and along with the delivery status. And then they can move beyond their geographic area if they want to compete further out for business. So, one of the things I wanted to do here was make it where the local dealers had a better chance to get the local buyers, instead of buyers, basically shopping inventory and going and again buying cars outside of the area. This is something I felt that was kind of going a little bit wrong with the way the internet's working for car buyers and car dealers. You should have, every car dealer should be able to sell sell a car to every buyer that's in their neighborhood, like it was, before the internet, and the buyer didn't go all over the internet looking for different dealers. So it's very based on the dealer getting connected to the buyers that are looking for what they want. Now I would say this, look, when we get our service up and running, and we get a lot of car buyers on there, every dealer can basically look out his window, and he'll be able to look at every vehicle on his lot, and he'll be able to go in and find everybody who wants those exact vehicles and those exact configurations on that day, and he'll be able to quote them directly. And because there's no cost to become a member of our dealer network, and you never pay money unless you sell a vehicle, you're talking about some high-quality leads that you're getting access to, and you're getting information in these people's hands, and you're getting exactly, finding the buyers that want exactly what you have. So there's a lot of technical benefits in the way it was designed to get the lead process, getting the buyer and the dealer together quickly, and getting the car sold more quickly, making it work for the dealer.
Excuse me. Close it.
Any other questions? Before I hit him with another one? I've got a lot of questions.
Okay, sure, absolutely.
Nobody else want to chime in?
Yeah, I've got one.
I'm thinking.
So, Mike, you mentioned no money changes hands until the deal is consummated. I've got a two-part question.
Right.
Okay. The first question would be, how do you consummate a deal, and how binding is it? Actually, there'll be a three-part question. How do you consummate a deal? How binding is it? And then, how much do I pay as a dealership to consummate?
Absolutely. Okay, so here's how it works. So the buyer goes in, they build obviously what they're looking for. Okay, dealer scans our system, finds the buyer they want to provide a price quote to, and all the different dealers go in and they've got this 48-hour windows to provide a quote. So first thing that happens, each time a dealer delivers the price quote, we send an email to the buyer saying you just received a price quote, and that'll go on over the 48-hour period. And then at the end of the 48-hour period, we'll send the buyer one last email saying, the time has expired. All of the dealers that we're going to provide you price quotes, those price quotes are in. Please log into your account, review your offers, and then make your buying decision. So the buyer goes in, and what happens now when they log into their account, all of these offers that they've received, they now have basically a button next to each one that says buy it now. And they just scan through the list, and they look at price and delivery status or whatnot, and they make a decision. They click a button that says buy it now. We immediately send the dealer an email that says, congratulations, you just sold a 2011, et cetera, and here's a copy. Here's the account. This is it. This is what you quoted the buyer. This is what they were looking for. The buyer is standing by, ready to take delivery of the vehicle. We have an invoice in there. We collect our marketing fee, which is $279. It's a flat fee per car. And we also have the whole used component, too. We actually can have built the used car side of things as well. So we're not just selling the new cars. But so we collect our fee online, basically just pay the invoice right through our website. And the minute we receive the money, that buyer's contact information pops up on your screen. Name, telephone, address, email. And that buyer is literally waiting by the phone, expecting your phone call. Hi, this is Tom Kain with XYZ Honda. We're going to be selling your vehicle. You confirm the vehicle specifications, which are exactly what the buyer put in there. Confirm the out-the-door price. Start the paperwork. Schedule the appointment. Get everything done and get the vehicle delivered. So the question becomes, well, what can go wrong there? Well, the buyer changes their mind, okay? No problem. If the buyer changes their mind, we know that's going to happen sometimes. Send us an email. We'll refund it. Say the buyer changed their mind. We'll send the money back. The buyer comes in with their trade-in, and something about it wasn't what they said. Maybe they put the wrong mileage in, or something, or you just what you thought you were getting was not what you were getting, and you look at this and you say, there's just no way I can make this work. And the buyer's not willing to obviously do anything, or obviously realize, own up to putting in the wrong mileage or something. No problem. Send us an email. We'll send your money back. We're only interested in collecting a fee when a vehicle gets delivered. Period. So.
Go ahead, John.
I didn't mean to overstep. I was just going to say there. So it sounds like your buy it now button. Just to sum it up, you got the buy it now button, and then you got you invoice the dealership, and the customer gets the call from the dealership.
Right.
And then When does the customer actually consummate the deal?
Well, when you call them, the price is already decided. The vehicle, obviously, they know exactly what they want. You've either got it on the lot, or they already know it's going to take you a week or two to get it. And then you're just starting your paperwork process. You're basically getting everything set up to get that vehicle delivered. In the buyer's mind, they're already basically done. They're ready to deliver that car, and then you begin obviously to work on your financing and everything else. And we encourage buyers on our site to consider the dealer for financing. And the other things that you want to promote, as part of the typical F9, the closing process. Obviously we want to help you make it available to upsell those different things too.
Right. So I guess then my question is how is the carsforsale.com more of a consummated deal than just a lead that comes through on any aggregating website that's out there, any other cars.com or AutoTrader or anything like that? And Tom, I didn't mean to take over your host job. I'm just trying. This one's pretty interesting, so I'm trying to figure it out exactly.
Sure. Well, the buyer here. Here's the proposition to the buyer. Okay. It says right on their homepage, simply build the vehicle you wish to purchase, and then tell us about your trade-in. Okay, competing dealers will submit their best out-the-door price quotes, which include everything: trade-in, taxes, tag, title, and dealer fees. At the end of 48 hours, review your offers, make a buying decision. And so the value proposition to the buyer is we've taken the process that can take, as can take 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 months. The process is very tedious and time-consuming, and we rolled it all up into one. They say, well, I've gotten all these offers and so forth, and we've given them, we feel, all the factors that they need to make a buying decision. So, that is the difference. And the online trade-in is obviously a huge advancement. Getting the pricing standardized. So when most people, they get a price quote from a dealer, and not every dealer is the same, obviously, but they're dealing with just a price for the vehicle. And in the buyer's minds, they have all these other variables to now think about, including the trade-in and comparing one dealer's paperwork fees versus another. And they're so far away from making a buying decision. Well, we've taken all that off the table. We say, look, the price quotes you get, when they include everything, your trade-in, your tag, your taxes, your title, and all, you no longer have to be concerned about these variables, because the price quote that you get that's the best, the one you decide to go with, it's already wrapped up in there. There's really nothing else to think about. So the process that we've created takes it from a lead to a sale. I had one dealer look at this and he says, what I like about this is you're not just selling a lead, you're not selling an appointment, you're selling a vehicle. And so that is the difference, I think. And we feel that once we get enough dealers on the platform, that we can begin marketing the service to car buyers. We think that we have an extremely appealing product that can bring a lot of buyers, into the tent, so to speak. And these are the buyers that are not going to fill out, a lead form anymore, and a lot of things that are kind of just breaking down with the old style of generating leads. So hopefully that's a good enough answer.
Thank you, Mike.
John, you still got the floor, buddy.
Oh. Well,
It does say this is hosted by you and I, so go ahead, run with it.
No, so the one thing that is different, Mike, is that you're encouraging the dealership to give up pricing before your program asks for the customer's information, correct? Or do they have to give up their email?
We actually collect the information. Yeah. Well, we collect the information on the buyer, and we have it stored. Okay, but we say
before pricing goes out or after?
Before. So when they register with our service, we collect all their information, but obviously we store it because we keep them anonymous until they make the buying decision. Our promise to them is we're going to keep you anonymous, but once you make the buying decision, that information is immediately going to go out to the dealer, because obviously they're ready to buy the car, the dealer's ready to sell the car, so we don't have to, unless they obviously put in their information into our service, they're not going to have an account, they're not going to be able to get the price quotes. So we've set the stage. Everything that has to be kind of in motion behind the scenes is already set, and then the only thing that remains is for the buyers to get these quotes and make a buying decision and click that button, and for that vehicle to get delivered. So we looked at it a step further and we said, okay, obviously we don't want to put the dealer on the hook for anything. We want to make this easy. We want to use the open architecture of the internet, so to speak, to make this work for the dealer. So we made it very easy to become a member of our dealer network. You go right to CarsOutTheDoor.com. You take 30 seconds, you put your dealership in and create an account, and you're done. You're now in the dealer network. And then you don't have to do anything. We actually just, once we start advertising and bringing buyers onto the website, we will actually notify you on a daily basis. Say, we've got buyers on the website that are in such and such area. Get in there and give your price quotes. And, a lot of these, going back to the other, car buying services, there's a lot of moving parts, everything from the affinity buying programs and everything else. You all know what's out there. There's a lot of time commitment from the dealer. There's a lot of work involved. And most of them end up in, protracted discussion with the buyer anyway. And the close rates are horribly low, even on these, these even the high quality lead generators. A lot of times the deals fall apart, and there's so many things that go wrong. And we said, okay, from a dealer's perspective, here's your time commitment to Cars Out the Door. You're in and out in 90 seconds, giving a price, and then you're on to the next one. You're giving a price, and you're not going to have to worry. You're not going to have to go back and look at that, because first of all, it's only a 48-hour window. Give the price, and if we can deliver a large volume of buyers in your area, and you're able to quote maybe 5 to 1, quote 5 buyers for every vehicle you have on your lot, we think in 2 years, 2-3 years, maybe we might be able to be there. You got a lot of buyers rounded up in one place, but you're not having to go back and rework those deals and rework those leads. And again, you're putting in prices that work for you. See, most car buyers, they have no problem with paying a fair price. That's all they're looking for. We're not saying to the buyer, look, we're going to drive this price through the floor for you. That's not our value proposition to the buyer. Our value proposition to the buyer is that this is a fair price, and it's fair competition, and it's a quick, easy buying experience. Some of the other services are telling, it's so much work for the buyer. They've got to become a pricing expert, and they've got to go to 8 different websites and figure out what they should be paying for the car. Well, we've taken all that off the buyer's plate. So we think, and then we've added a lot of efficiencies for the dealer as well, but, the downside of the dealer is absolutely zero. Take 30 seconds, join our dealer network. When we deliver the buyers, get in there, give them quotes, and, you're going to get some cars sold, but at the end of the day, you're not going to spend a lot of time doing it, and you're not going to spend money unless you actually make a sale.
Right. Now, how much does the buyer have to pay?
It's a free service for the buyer. So, and obviously, you have to, anything, if you're charging the buyer, you're never going to deliver mass, you're never going to deliver mass or car buyers. We wanted to create something that we felt could bring the masses. I would say 90% of car buyers are online and they're doing research. Well, I think it's 100%, personally. And I also think they're all looking for an easier buying experience. So we think that we think we have something that's new and innovative that really will bring a lot of buyers.
Very nice. But now, you mentioned earlier that the customer gives their email address or phone number or whatever information is required before they get priced. Are
Correct.
They able to look at vehicles and catalog their vehicle first? Do they get to go through and select everything they want?
They can use the website. They can have the shopping experience. They can play with our configurator all day long. They can visit, because they're going to do this throughout the research process anyway. We've got great configuration, great information, side-by-side comparator. We have all the bells and whistles. We source our data from Chrome, so it's obviously the latest and the greatest data. We build a very friendly user interface. So we've got a website that car buyers can come to and they can do their research. We're not just a buy it here website, but we're a research website as well. So they can come and they can do their thing, but when at the point where they're ready to get into the market and ready to get those quotes and buy that vehicle, that's when they create the account. And then once we created the account, only when we have all their information, which is all required, then do we put it out to the dealer marketplace and start getting those quotes in. So again,
how much information is collected from the buyer?
It's simply
credit sensitive, I would assume.
No, because legally we can't touch anything credit sensitive.
Right.
It's essentially it's name, address, email, and phone number. Those are all required fields. So everything you need to get in touch with that buyer. And then when the buyer, the cool thing about it is when they're engaged in this process and they're ready to buy that car and they click that button and they say buy it now, we say, are you sure? And they say yes. We say, okay, we have just provided your contact. Or as soon as you click yes, we're going to provide your contact information to the car dealer. And at this point, they still don't even know who the dealer is. They just know that, hey, I just bought a car. I'm excited. They're waiting for that phone call. And then we say, obviously, depending on what time of the day or night it is, we say, please allow the dealer 24 hours to respond, especially if they do this late at night. And then that email instantly goes to the dealer's inbox. It says, congratulations, you just sold, and we actually give you all the specs on the vehicle. You can log in. You can see exactly, obviously, what you quoted, what they're buying, and so forth. And that buyer is literally sitting there waiting for that phone call to get the paperwork done and get delivered that vehicle.
Well, at that point, it becomes real for the buyer.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about it. This whole process is all about them getting excited about getting what they want. I look at the OEM websites. The research says a lot of buyers go to the OEM websites. The majority of them will go there as part of the process, especially ones that are brand loyal. And I do that too. I go to, anytime I want to, look at cars, I go to the OEM websites, and it's cool to build the car, and I always love to see the OEMs typically have the best graphics and configurations, and that's the fun part about it. And so this picks up the fun, and it just keeps it going for the buyer. And so literally a car buyer can go from shopping to owning in 48 hours. See, our research says that a lot of people, they put off buying a car because it's inconvenient, it's not quick, it's not easy. I can't tell you how many people, when we were doing our market testing and our focus groups, they said, I've got a 4-year-old car and I'd like to get a new car and I can afford a new car, but you know what? It's just too much work. So I'm going to keep this car for another 3, 4 years or 10 years. I'm going to drive it till the wheels fall off because, cars are built pretty well now and they last a long time. And, I think the industry's losing a lot of potential sales because people are just staying out of the market. It's just inconvenient. And so this is something that once we feel it could potentially go viral, so to speak. I'm not saying we're going to be an eBay or anything that just becomes a household name, but we feel we have something that car buyers really could take a hold of, and they're going to do the whole tweet it and Facebook and social media. We're hopeful that people get really excited about our process.
Right. Well, convenience is key today. I mean, people want stuff fast. When they want it, they want it quick.
Yeah, and that's part of car buying. Going back to the old days, Tom. Before the internet, people would when they made that buying decision, they got in and out pretty quick at one of their local dealerships. When I say quick, I say if they decided on a Friday or a Thursday they were going to buy a new car, they couldn't wait to get into a dealership, and typically by the end of that weekend, they were owning that car. And this is going to we think we can bring that back to the process.
Well, I've got, we are just eating up this hour real quick tonight. Anyway, we may go over a little bit. I've got a few more questions.
Sure.
But I'll open it up to anybody but John right now. Hi, Manny. How are you? Oh, no mic. All right. Good deal. Well, so how easy is it I guess, and you may have answered this in there, but I'm going to get you I'm from Kentucky, so you have to talk slow.
Sure.
But, so do the buyers know how far away the vehicle is when they get the quote? Do they have any?
They don't know. What we do is this. We tell the buyers, the dealers select which buyers they want to give quotes to. So everything is zip code based. So that's the one thing they do know about the buyer is the zip code. So they go in, they search the year, make, model, and so forth, what they want to sell, and the zip code. So we tell the dealers, obviously you're going to quote all the buyers in your area first because those are the best buyers to quote. They live right where you are. But the dealer is free to go as far away as they want. If they want to quote 2 hours away, they're more than welcome to. What we tell the dealers, look, if you're more than 50 miles away, just be prepared. You're going to have to deliver that vehicle or a lot for that in your price quote if you're selling long distance. And obviously, there's a lot of long distance selling going on now. So the buyer, they're not going to know where the dealer is. It's up to the dealer to decide, hey, these are the buyers I want to get quotes to. So the buyer, you guess, this one less thing the buyer has to be concerned about. All they know is that, they got a dealer that is ready to sell them that car. They got the price. They got the situation they wanted, and they're ready to deliver that vehicle.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if there's a dealer in California and he sees these leads and he's like, oh, there's somebody in Kentucky and we've got this car, I'll go ahead and price it, and then it turns out to be, the cheapest one on the market, and then the buyer says, okay, I'm ready to buy this car, and then they buy the car and find out it's 1,000 miles away.
Well, obviously, it's not up to the buyer to go get that vehicle. The dealer is going to know where that buyer is when they're quoting it. Now, if you've got situations where dealers have inventory, and the cool thing about Cars Out the Door is they can go find those buyers. They got a particular configuration sitting on the lot. They can go find those buyers, whether they're 30 minutes away or an hour, and why not quote the buyer? If you have what they want and the buyer's 2 hours away, if that's part of your normal course of business, sometimes you have to deliver a vehicle, factor that into your price quote. You may get the business, but the cool thing is you've got the vehicle the buyer wants, you have the buyer that wants what you have, and you're matching directly to them. Obviously, you're going to quote that business. I know that with the internet, buyers are shopping long distance anyway in a lot of cases. I know some buyers that have gone to extremes. They bought vehicles in other states just because they felt like they couldn't get their needs met where they were. They didn't like the dealership in their area. They didn't like the salesperson or whatnot. Cool thing about Cars Out the Door is here's what it does for the dealer. It removes all of the the personal obstacles that could come into contact with you making that sale. If this person had a bad experience with your dealership in the past, well, they don't even know who you are when you're giving them the quote. It doesn't matter to them, okay? So maybe they may not have come into your dealership because maybe they didn't like your dealership, but now you've got a chance to still sell them, because at the end of the day, they're not going to care, hey, I got the price I wanted, I got what I wanted, I'm ready to buy this car, and now you've got a buyer that maybe you wouldn't have had before. So there's a lot of things built in here that can remove the things that are going on with dealers having to overcome maybe online reviews that aren't favorable, or people doing different things, different competition with dealers trying to undercut each other. So, these things, there's a lot of little nuances in here that are attractive to dealers, but as I said, at the end of the day, it costs nothing to be on the platform other than 30 seconds to go in there, put your dealership in. Our commitment is...
I'm thinking that, maybe if a dealership is more than, 100 miles away, then maybe they should be willing to pay for the cost of delivering the vehicle to the customer, and then you've got service that plays a part, because when you buy a vehicle from a dealership, some dealerships are doing free oil changes as long as you own the vehicle and things like that. I guess it kind of goes back to the question: is this all about just getting the lowest price on the vehicle? I understand there's a convenience factor. But it does seem like that the lowest price, for the most part, is probably going to win the game every time.
Well, and that's probably true, but that is the nature of business. And I've never had a dealer that said, I'm not going to beat the next guy's price. Everyone obviously is willing to do business and be the best. But I look at the travel websites and the hotel websites and everything going, it's not always about price. Going back to our situation, you got delivery status here as well. And you give a buyer a price quote and you say, well, I don't have this vehicle in stock, I can get it in 2 weeks, but here's my price. That can influence the buyer. It may be a better price, it may not be. Or you have a buyer that's hot to trot and they want to pick it up that weekend. Maybe the price is a little bit higher. If we were doing the online reverse auction thing, obviously that's different. Then or we're doing the true, I have to use on the true car thing, where we're actually telling the dealer how much they're allowed to sell the car for. I think those are bigger evils than what Cars Out the Door is proposing of saying.
Well, I would agree. I would agree 100%. I just wanted to get to that. I mean, that's what it said. My biggest concern was from a consumer standpoint, not from a dealer standpoint, obviously. But I think maybe a good check to put in there would be asking the dealer, hey, if we're gonna give you the opportunity to bid on cars 100 miles outside your market, are you willing to deliver the vehicles to the customers?
Well, one of the things in our dealer Q&A page right on the website, we say if you are more than 50 miles from the dealer or from the buyer, be prepared to deliver that vehicle and make sure you factor that into your price quote. Because obviously, you're not going to know if the buyer, you call up the buyer and say, hey, I'm your dealer, I'm going to sell you the car and I'm 100 miles away and when can you be here? Obviously, that's not going to work with the buyers. So we just have it in our language. Look, if you're quoting buyers that are more than 50 miles outside of your zip code, put some extra money in there, whether you got to trailer the car down there or drive it or whatever the normal course of business is. Just make sure you put that in your quote.
All right, I'll get off that. Now, I do have a couple more questions here. Daggone, we're running short on time. Do the dealers get any type of reporting? Like if I, from a dealer standpoint, if I bid on, say, 100 cars this month, obviously I know the cars that I won.
Right.
I won the customer's business,
right.
whether I had the lowest price or convenience or whatever.
Right.
But to become better at using your service,
right.
Will I get a report showing the deals that I lost and why I lost them? What did that car sell for? Or
we don't. Yes, in the dealer dashboard in our system, when you log in, there's basically 3 tabs. It's quotes that you've placed. It's business that you've been awarded, and your invoice tab, invoices to be paid and so forth. So everything is kept. We keep a running track of everything, especially all the prices that you quoted. So everything is ongoing that's in there. The only thing that we don't do at the end of the day is come back to the dealer and say, this is what the car ultimately sold for. And we don't think it's important, and because at the end of the day, the way the market is today, everybody knows what everyone else's prices are anyway. And so now if a dealer steps forward and say, well, I really need to know what the car ended up selling for, well, we could probably work something out and show that. But what we're hoping is that when we get this thing rolling, you've got literally hundreds of buyers a day that you're quoting. And sales is a numbers game, obviously. If you quote, or leads are a numbers game, 8, 10, 12% close rate or whatever they are. We don't think at the end of the day we'll be any different for a dealer. We just think much more efficient, moving much more quickly. But, if probably the numbers are going to say if you quote, I'm just saying if you quote 100 buyers, I don't know how many you're going to get. I just don't know. It's up to the dealer how aggressive they end up being. We're certainly not promoting to dealers, hey, you've got to get behind invoice here. You've got to cut this thing to the bone, because we don't believe that's right. We think if every dealer is putting in a number that says that, hey, this is what I need to run my business, in my opinion, that's the way the car business should be working. And the buyer said the buyer, as long as the quotes are fair. See, if a buyer gets 3 or 4 different quotes and they know that they're apples-to-apples quotes, and the dealers obviously were quoting these things independently, and they now have an idea in their mind of what they should be paying.
Right.
They know what it's worth, and that's the information that's going to power them to make a buying decision. So at the end of the day, I say, look, obviously get in there, take 90 seconds, give the quote, give a fair number that you need to make a profit. We're not trying to squeeze you down. We're not trying to tell you what to sell the car for. And we think, at the end of the day, we think that's probably, I don't think there's any evil in that. Truthfully, I think that's the purest way that the car business works. But certainly we're not out to, say to the buyer, hey, we're only looking out for you. I wanted to build a solution that was working for everybody.
Have any dealers expressed any interest in reporting to you? I'm a FedEx guy, so I just seeing the data. So I would be that dealer that would be like, all right, I want to know the deals that I lost, and I want to know, what the car sold for, so I can do better. But
you've got a couple things going on. Obviously, there's not. every deal that you quote, you're not ultimately going to know if the buyer ended up buying or not. Some buyers, maybe they just won't buy. Who knows? Obviously, that's going to happen.
But you know that.
Everyone knows that going in, obviously. Not every lead that you quote ends up buying a car and people change their mind or whatnot. So if we haven't had any feedback from the dealers that have joined us so far saying that these are the things that they would like to see, honestly, the only feedback that we've gotten is, great job. This is new. We like it. It's fair. It's innovative. It's fair. And we like what you're doing. It's different and unique. And, so the feedback has all been good from the ones that have joined us.
Yeah, I like it too. I think it's great. I wouldn't have had you on the roundtable if I didn't think it was something cool.
Thank you, Tom. So,
before we, I'm going to get these two more questions in before John Miller jumps in on me again. How easy is it for a dealer to generate a price quote once they're in your system?
It is super quick. Once you obviously you find the buyer that you want to quote, you click on the tab, and what pops up right there is the full configuration of what they're looking to buy, and if there's a trade-in, all the specs on the trade-in are right below that, along with the NADA appraisal values. So you just have to crunch your numbers real quick, add your sales tax, and add whatever paperwork processing fee that you're doing. And we think that most dealers should be able to turn these quotes out in maybe 90 seconds, 2 minutes, I don't know. But we try to make it very quick, but you put in the number, you go to the drop-down menu, you check on the delivery status, and you click, enter, and literally you're done. And you're off of that way, and you're on to the next one. So the time commitment to do the quotes are very small, and the process doesn't require you going back and spending a lot of time. Some of the other services that I looked at, they look easy on the front end, but the back end is a whole lot of work, and you end up basically you have to go back and you have to close that buyer again. So again, it's a simple get in there and give your price quote. You're in and out in 90 seconds. You're on to the next one, and we're going to try to basically flood you with in-market buyers on a daily basis.
So is this all about that? This is just a bottom line price quote, or just whatever that dealer's price quote is. There's no payment quote or any type of lease offers or anything of that.
Well, one of the things that we want to do, the next generation, it can be very quickly in the future once we get it rolling, is putting in some fields where the buyer can express they want to lease that vehicle, and we'll have some discussions with some dealers about what that should look like. And if the buyer wants a lease quote, obviously, then we just add a couple of extra fields in there, and the dealer can quote back the leasing numbers. So
that question came from Jay, by the way. I was just to you. He's been feeding me all these great questions tonight.
We tried to think of everything, but and we think we're pretty close. But obviously, there's a few things we still want to do. Just some future ideas I have. I would love to, take the F&I process and kind of bring some of that paperwork online. Let a buyer complete, a set of forms, and maybe auto-populate that for the dealer. So we're moving this process even closer to getting this vehicle, sold and getting the paperwork done before the buyer and the dealer actually get together to exchange keys. A lot of things I want to do to continue to evolve it as we move forward.
Right, and I know it's early, very early, especially for your company, but I'm excited for you, and I'm sure that everybody joining us tonight is as well. I mean, it's definitely exciting for the dealer, and it's obviously an opportunity for the consumer. Where do you envision Cars Out the Door being 5 years from now?
Well, 5 years from now is obviously a long way away. We think, in the long term, we think we can have a major positive impact on the auto industry. I personally feel we can become a household name. I think we have something so unique and innovative for the car buyer that I think we have the chance to become a great, internet success story. 5 years is a long way down the road. I do think, I'm trying to think just in terms of 1 month, 2 month. Right now, where we are at this point, we're just passing our 9th week, and we haven't really done any quote unquote marketing. We've just been generating publicity. And we have 49 dealers across the U.S. join the platform. Just having learned about it through different publicity efforts, gone to the website, read about it, liked it, joined it. And from what I'm told, 49, in 2 months is a fantastic start. I don't really have a frame of reference, but I've been told that's very strong. And where we are going at this point, with your help, Tom, obviously on the 10th of this month, we're going to do an email campaign to every dealership in the U.S., try to get more eyes on the website. We would like to get to maybe 500, 600, maybe even 1,000 dealers if we're lucky through our email campaign, and then maybe by the end of November, hopefully, have enough concentration of dealers that we can begin actually driving car buyers to the site, start getting cars sold, and then we hope it can grow organically. In addition, we've been very fortunate. A lot of the industry publications like what we're doing and have been willing to write. I've been doing a lot of writing, blogging for Dealer Marketing, Dealer Magazine, Dealer Digest Daily, and a lot of the publications like what we're talking about. And so we should be in roughly about 6 industry publications this month, where things I've been writing about the online buying process, and hopefully that'll drive a lot more attention. So we're just really working on, hey, how can we get to that first threshold of maybe 500 dealers or 1,000 dealers, and actually start driving some traffic and getting some cars sold.
Absolutely. And again, to all the dealers out there, it doesn't cost anything to join, to get on the Cars Out the Door network. I want to thank Mike Marini for joining us tonight, and everybody else in the room that joined us. I really appreciate your all's time. I think this was another great Auto Dealer Target Roundtable.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, John. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. See you guys.
Good night.
Have a good night. See you, Manny.
All right.
Oh, got sound too.
Good night.